Hello, I'm Jonathan Bowman-Perks and welcome back to my favourite time of the week. And I'm very lucky to have Fiona Hathorn with me at the moment. And Fiona has had an incredible career thus far. She's packed in everything into her life. I'm going to get her to talk about this in a minute, but really from being an investment manager and all the experience that she has working in the city to now the incredible things that she's doing for women and men on boards. And we're going to talk about that. So Fiona, welcome. Lovely having you here.
Lovely to see you.
And in a nutshell, just tell us some of the things that you're doing at the moment, and particularly the major things that you are most excited about.
Well, I'm the Chief Exec of an organisation called Women on Boards UK, which is an enabling network. I view that most people don't know about the boardroom. Mm-hmm. There's a boardroom for everyone, but most board positions aren't transparently advertised. So our network advertises board vacancies for free. Right. And I'm hugely proud that we've advertised 16,000 board vacancies since I launched this network in 2012. But we're not really a course as such. We do lots of things, but mostly we hold people's hands and explain to them how to sell themselves onto boards, because most people who join boards learn on the job. Yep. And actually it's understanding your value add and how and do you understand the role of a non-executive director.
I think that's a very good point, because if it's chairman or NEDs or execs, they don't really have any training in this. So I think what you're doing is incredibly useful.
Yeah, and it's difficult for everyone. It's difficult for women to get on boards, it's difficult for men to get on boards. And even, top partners at EY, PwC, chief exec of Tesco's and all, they imagine it's going to be easy. It's not. It's actually very, very competitive, and it's a serious job.
Exactly right. And so next I'm interested in talking about these inspiring leaders, these men and women you've met over the years. If there was one or two people that you'd choose who've inspired you, who would it be, and what were their qualities that inspired you?
Well, I'd have to mention Philippa Gould, who was my first boss. My first job was being a trainee fund manager looking at Japanese equities, and Philippa Gould was my first boss. So she was enormously helpful. You and I were discussing earlier that we're both dyslexic, and she identified that my writing wasn't very good, and she was asking me to write investment reports, and she really spent ages, a bit like going to see the headmistress on red pen.
Red ink correction.
But she showed me to say, what do you actually want to say? Okay, well, write that down then. Yeah. And so she was very supportive when I was very embarrassed about my dyslexia, although I didn't know I was dyslexic at the time. Yeah. So Philip, I'd have to mention. Well. I would also mention John Ainsworth.
Okay.
John Ainsworth was the CIO and then Chief Executive of Hill Samuel Asset Management. Mm-hmm. And he was fantastic when I had children.
Brilliant.
Because when I had kids, he promoted me when I was 8 months pregnant.
Gosh.
That's to me inspired. Yeah. It got me back very, very quickly. He gave me my dream job. If I'm honest, then I thought he was bonkers.
Yep.
Absolutely fantastic. He supported me, whether it was giving me a car park space. He also gave me full pay during my maternity leave. He did absolutely everything to facilitate me coming back.
And if there were two qualities that stood out for you with those two people, a man and a woman, what inspiring leadership qualities did you admire about them?
Well, with Philippa, it would be very much her intellect. I mean, she was sharp. She was really, really sharp. And in terms of being a very, very good fund manager, she was strategic. What she saw in me was my ability to engage with clients. I don't think I was a particularly good fund manager. I was good with people. So she worked out what our different skill sets were and how we would put themselves together. Good. With John Ainsworth, he was a comprehensive Yorkshireman who was working in the City of London, and he absolutely hated the club culture. So when he became Chief Investment Officer, he decided that he would look after any minority, and it didn't matter whether you're a woman, a man or anything, he would work out how to get the best out of you. Fantastic. And that's what made a difference to me.
Yeah, no, that's really great. And then we all need to learn from our mistakes, and I'm sure, like me, you've made a few mistakes over the years. If you were to pick out a mistake you've made as a leader, leading others, which one would you choose? What story would you tell? And how's that shaped you as a better leader today?
Well, I think we've all made mistakes. The one I'm most embarrassed about is not being a good role model. Mm-hmm. I think role models are important. I was a role model in the city. I was the head of a desk. There were hardly any women, and I could have helped other women. Yeah. But maybe we'll go on to it later in terms of my family background and what made me different. I didn't see that other women needed support and advice, particularly when having children, because I didn't find it difficult. Well, I looked like Superwoman. I wasn't Superwoman. If you pushed me too far, I would have burst into tears. But I was really good at hiding it. And now I realise sharing those stories and providing a support structure, and I had the capacity to do that, and I didn't, and that I regret.
You're so right, Fiona. And Lee, in her book Inspiring Women Leaders, when she interviewed various women, a number of them said that they wished other women had helped them up, and they seemed so contained and they seemed to have it all, but actually when they got to know them, they realised they were very human, and it's just they didn't quite share it.
Well, there's something called the Queen Bee syndrome, and I actually don't ever have a go at any man or any woman who is not, they don't understand, they don't get it. I didn't get it. And I always say, if we're not having a go at Dave and Fred and Bob, why are we having a go at Jenny? She doesn't get it, and I didn't get it, and I could have been one of your fabulous female blockers. If John Ainsworth had said we need to do something for minorities, even though he'd been helping me, I wasn't even aware he was doing it, and I'd have probably said, oh, don't be ridiculous, if you're good enough you'll get there. Well, I don't believe that now.
Very wise. And what would you end with your top tip for inspiring leadership tip that you've found has helped you and helped other people who you've worked with, that you'd like to pass on to others to listen to?
Well, for me, my top tip would be to join a board. You are never too young. Many people, particularly in the City of London, in these very large organisations, are not close enough to the C-suite at that leadership level. They may be earning a lot of money, so my top tip is to get on a board, a community board, and really learn what it's like to be floating at the top of an organisation. You don't know what you know until you get out of some of these big organisations. It's very empowering, very rewarding, and really good for society as well.
Fiona, thank you.
You're welcome.
Really great having you on the Inspiring Leadership series.
Thank you for your time.
We're going to chat more later on, but thank you for your time.
You're welcome.